SpongeBob SquarePants, one of the longest running animated television series of all time, being released in May of 1999, it definitely has left its mark on a generation. Or maybe like 3 generations at this point. This joyous little sponge needs no introduction since he has graced our screens through many years with various series, video games, movies, and even a musical. But I'm not alone. This is a pretty special video because I have a few of my friends here and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Greetings, I'm DinoCat. I do illustrations online under the name Dinosaur Gato, and like many others have enjoyed watching SpongeBob in my younger days. I'm excited to watch these films and analyze them with Eva, my other friend, who will introduce himself now.
Hello everyone, I am the one and only Fudgezilla. You better not be laughing at that name or else. And I will be assisting with Eva on this video. Oh Fudge, you're not ready for this roller coaster of emotions. Let me just put my Krusty Krabs cap and spoiler warning for all of you. Don't watch it if you haven't watched all these 5 movies. Let's go.
So today, we're going to take turns going over the film's plots and our opinions chronologically. Then we'll all vote by the end to see where the film goes in the list. Now let's get into the first film. The first theatrical release of SpongeBob was on November 19th of 2004, after the 3rd season of SpongeBob ended a month before. The film was simply called The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie, and it has an 87-minute runtime. It did great in the box office, grossing $141 million with a budget of $30 million. And it's pretty much seen as a classic by fans of SpongeBob, still being played in television reruns over 20 years later. Now let's get into this plot. Mr. Krabs is making a second Krusty Krab restaurant, and he's going to announce the new manager for this establishment. Since SpongeBob has been the employee of the month so many times, and has been Krabs' top employee, he thinks that he will become the manager. But unfortunately, Krabs picks Squidward since he thinks that our Sponge is too immature and is a kid. In result, SpongeBob crashes out and goes to the Goofy Goober ice cream parlor and gets wasted off of ice cream sundaes with Patrick. Meanwhile, Plankton's trying to find a way to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, as per usual, and pulls out his Plan Z. This plan consists of stealing King Neptune's crown, sending it to Shell City, and this King Neptune is probably pretty different from what you're used to if you watch the original SpongeBob series, which is true since he does have a pretty different character design. This is because Paramount owns the movie version, Nickelodeon owns the TV version, and for some reason, they both didn't have the rights to use their likeness in the opposing entities, even though Paramount has owned Nick since 1994. So, I don't know, it's weird. Let's get back to the movie. SpongeBob pulls up to work hungover and cusses Krabs out. King Neptune also pulls up to the Krusty Krab to confront Krabs, then he freezes him since he thinks that Krabs was the one who stole the crown. The king needs his crown since he's very insecure about his receding hairline. Neptune says that he needs his crown back in 6 days or Krabs will be executed. Then our Sponge decides to go to Shell City to retrieve the crown and to save Mr. Krabs out of the kindness of his heart. So Neptune's daughter Mindy sends him and Patrick off, not before warning them about the dangerous Cyclops that roams near the city. Subtle foreshadowing. Sponge and Pat take the iconic Patty Mobile to go to Shell City, and as they're driving, SpongeBob and Patrick get their car jacked. Then they follow the guy that stole their car to this bar called the Thug Tug, and there's a lot of gangsters and tough guys hanging out there. They're in the bathroom and start blowing bubbles with the soap dispenser. The leader gets mad, makes everyone line up and sing the Goofy Goober song to find out who this bubble-blowing double baby is. Sponge and Pat almost die, but they're able to make it out and escape with the key. While that's happening, Plankton stole the formula and was selling Krabby Patties at the Chum Bucket. Squidward then confronts Plankton because he sees a bunch of people with Krabby Patties and Chum Bucket hats. Plankton then puts his Plan Z into action by activating these. He also hires Dennis, a hitman, to go after SpongeBob and Patrick and stop them from getting the crown. SpongeBob and Patrick lose their car again because they were being very naive, thinking that an old granny would be selling ice cream on top of a pile of bones. They also hit a dead end because of a trench. Without a way to get over the trench, Sponge and Pat almost give up, but Mindy comes to give them some motivation. She gives them some fake mustaches, which make them think that they have turned from kids into men. This gives them the confidence to keep going. And that's where the iconic song, Now That We're Men, comes in. They cross the trench, and Dennis is on the other, which is just a guy in some old-timey scuba gear. The Cyclops then takes them to Shell City, where we find out that Shell City is literally just a gift shop with fish-themed items, and he plans to dry them and turn them into knickknacks. SpongeBob and Patrick think this is the end, but this teardrop drips down and short-circuits the lamp that was drying them out, causing smoke to appear. All of the sea creatures attack the Cyclops, and SpongeBob and Patrick are able to get King Neptune's crown. They leave, but they don't have a way home. Skinny Bottom. You know, every kid's film had to have some fan service for the moms. You know what? Let's start bringing it back, chat. Somehow, Dennis catches up to them, and they have a fight while being on David Hasselhoff's calves. Neptune returns to the Krusty Krab to execute Krabs since SpongeBob didn't show up yet, but he and Patrick show up just on time with the crown. But in a last resort, Plankton drops the mind control buckets on Neptune's head and tells his zombie to attack SpongeBob. But then SpongeBob says a motivational speech, since throughout the film, everyone has been saying he's a stupid kid and immature, but now he embraces his childlike quirks and breaks into an epic and iconic SpongeBob song, Goofy Goober Rock, and saves everyone with his fire guitar shredding. Plankton is then arrested, Krabs is thawed out, and SpongeBob is named the manager of Krusty Krab 2. Ocean man, take me by the hand, take me man. I definitely know the words. Iconic, simply iconic. I, similarly to some of you guys, grew up on this movie, and I was most definitely a SpongeBob girl, so I loved it. I used to watch it every time it came on Nick, so maybe I'm a bit biased and blinded by nostalgia, but everything about this film is perfect, from the animation to the plot to the jokes to the songs, even to the random celebrity cameo. I also love how they implemented the live action aspect of the pirates going into the movie theater and David Hasselhoff. It was great and aged perfectly. No wonder I rated it 5 stars on Letterboxd. Shameless plug, by the way. The animation's also great. I miss a good old 2D animated film. Not everything's either trying to be Frozen, Into the Spider-Verse, or Lion King 2019. Please stop. Be original. Now, let's see what the guys think. So, what do we think about the first SpongeBob movie, guys?
Well, I love the first SpongeBob movie, man. All the like goofy goofer stuff, less butt jokes as we've seen from like all those other 3 films. I hope there's not more in the other 2. And it was generally a good and consistent plot. I would watch it like a million times, which I already like watched it many times. So if I'm gonna say, I'm gonna rate this movie a 5 out of 5. It earns that. It's beautiful.
I agree.
As for me, I think I'm going to just say 5 out of 5 as well, because it's like the movie I grew up with, like looking a lot. I remember Sponge Out of Water. The reason I was excited for that film at all is because of the first film in general, and you know, it's just a hood classic, if that. No.
Absolutely a hood classic. Absolutely a hood classic.
So yeah, I just have to say 5 out of 5 as well. Nothing is like wrong with that movie, and it's not riddled with new gen stuff.
Wow, new gen. I also agree with the 5 out of 5. That's why I rated it on Letterboxd. So of course it has to be 5 out of 5. Trust.
Has to be. Trust.
Trust. Okay, does anyone have anything else to say about this one?
Well, finally, I love the old animation. This is like one of the only 2D animated ones throughout the entire films. The rest start having transitions to 3D or are completely 3D, so I hate the 3D ones. I will kill them all.
Now, this film is honestly the SpongeBob movie, and it really can't be topped. This is where Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob, wanted to end the series, with SpongeBob becoming the manager, yet Nickelodeon had other plans, so he left the show and then SpongeBob went on for its 4th season without its creator. A lot of people say this is when SpongeBob fell off, which is kind of true, but let's see if the next film, a film from 11 years later, can save it.
Now, the second movie, Sponge Out of Water, was released in theaters on June 2nd, 2015. Unlike its predecessor, the movie had a mixture of live-action, 3D animated, and 2D animated elements. The film grossed around $325 million in the box office worldwide, and reception was pretty mixed. Since the movie was a sequel to the glorious Bigger Brother, it made the most money out of any SpongeBob movie in this list. Not too surprising. I, for one, had loved the film when I was younger, but rewatching it nowadays definitely raises my eyebrows a bit. During this time, the SpongeBob series was beginning a major decline without leadership from the man, the legend, Stephen Hillenburg. Many of the executives at Nickelodeon were quite unsure how to properly guide the series, and the movie highly reflects that. Enough blabbering. Let's figure out the story, shall we? The story begins with Burger Beard on his way to find treasure which contains the entire lore of SpongeBob, or at least for this movie. Hey, doesn't his voice quite sound familiar though? I love this guy! Anyways, he steals the book from this funny little skeleton guy and ends up launched thousands of feet into the air back onto his ship. Moving away from live action, we see the introduction of SpongeBob, and we also see him conversating with Patrick. All of a sudden, a plane filled with mayonnaise hits the Krusty Krab, and now the Bikini Bottom is at war? Who comes up with these war scenarios in the SpongeBob movies? I think it adds some comedic value, but it seems a little bit unnecessary. Anyways, Plankton turns out to be behind the mayonnaise and every other machinery he owns, as means to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. It turns out to be a fail at the end, so Plankton spares his last penny as he becomes homeless. However, the penny was an elaborate plan to steal the secret formula. He enters Mr. Krabs' secret safe with a fabricated secret formula. SpongeBob catches him in time and tries to snatch the formula away from Plankton. All of a sudden, the formula disappears out of thin air. Where could have it gone? Those questions are not quite answered, but all Mr. Krabs sees is stolen money as always. He threatens to stomp Plankton, but he is able to get away with the help of a bubble. But who could have blown the bubble? SpongeBob? A traitor? Who could have thought? They go along their way to find help as the Bikini Bottom goes to shambles, quite literally. Back in the real world, Burger Beard and the seagulls who were traveling with him begin to quarrel about the ending of the SpongeBob story. In the quarrel, they drop a page of the book, quite literally titled The End, into the sea. Plankton and SpongeBob devise a plan to get the townspeople not to kill them, so they go to Sandy for help. The page had fallen to her dome, so she pieces together that the sandwich gods are angry. She's a real conspiracy theorist, isn't she? She didn't really know how to solve the issue, so Plankton and SpongeBob decide to call it quits and find Gary and Patrick instead. Gary, though, had turned into a ruler, and Patrick, although SpongeBob's best friend, decided to betray them both and alert Mr. Krabs. Jeez, if I was SpongeBob, I wouldn't want to be friends with him anymore. How does he keep putting up with his stuff? After they are chased out, Plankton and SpongeBob come to the conclusion of making a time machine to steal back the secret formula, requiring them to enter the chum bucket for Karen. They sneak their way past the Watchers, defeat Patrick, and acquire Karen. Karen is essentially sacrificed to make the time machine. Rest in peace, she was real for that. And our TM travels to the future, some space-time continuum area with a dolphin named Bubbles? What? And of course, to the moment where the formula had vanished. The formula is stolen by the original SpongeBob and Plankton, traveling back to return it to Mr. Krabs. Krabs is delighted, but reads a foul message of the fake secret formula instead. Ah yes, it is also important to mention earlier that Sandy had determined that a sacrifice was needed to appease the gods. Because of this, SpongeBob decides to sacrifice himself to the sandwich gods as a way to own up to TM's mistake. Thankfully, at the last minute, he and Mr. Krabs smell Krabby Patties coming from the outside world, so SpongeBob is spared and the rest of the town folks chase after the scent. But who could be making Krabby Patties from the outside world? It is none other than Puss in Boots. It is none other than Burger Beard. He was the one to have stolen the Krabby Patty formula all along. Now, I have numerous questions to why Burger Beard knew about the Bikini Bottom, and how he knew about Krabby Patty beforehand. The movie doesn't really reveal too much about his backstory, making his motives a little vague, other than to sell and make money. But I digress. Once the townsfolk realize they can't cross the outside water, they call for all secondary characters to forfeit from action. Nice fourth wall break. We are now left only with SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Sandy, and Plankton. All of a sudden, a familiar dolphin appears in front of them. It's Bubbles. He had come to thank SpongeBob and Plankton. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier that both of them had destroyed Jupiter and Saturn and ruined Mr. Bubbles' careers. Turns out though, he never wanted that filthy job, and he was grateful to do finally something else that was not watching space for eternity. As his thanks, he gives the primary characters the ability to breathe out of water, and leaves them on the surface, close to where Burger Beard is actually. Now, these scenes primarily have a lot of filler of the main protagonist going around and getting themselves into problematic situations with the human environment. Eventually though, they confront Burger Beard and try to take back the formula. With a book on hand, Burger Beard sends them to Pelican Island, risking the protagonist to be eaten by, you guessed it, pelicans. SpongeBob has the idea to take a feather from one of the pelicans and use ink that was available out of Squidward's sphere. They return super strong and heroic, having their second confrontation with Burger Beard. Now look at them. SpongeBob is the buff bubble man, Squidward a terrible music player with abs, Patrick a ice cream manipulator, Mr. Krabs a robot, and Sandy a squirrel? Couldn't they have been a little bit more creative with her design? Despite these upgrades, the heroes still fail at the end of the day. But wait, you might be asking, where's Plankton? Well, turns out, he wrote himself to have super strength, and is very, very tall. Phew. He is briefly stunned, but together with SpongeBob, he is able to defeat the Burger Beard by blowing a dangerous amount of bubbles. With that, the main protagonist wins, gets their formula, and lives happily ever after. And Plankton for once vowed to never steal the formula. Oh well, that was short-lived. The end. This movie was not as iconic as the first, but it was memorable for me. Rewatching it had exposed some pretty huge flaws though, as it felt that the characters would have mood shifts or be in a really random situation, especially in the later second half of the movie. I believe it is still watchable, and you may find yourself enjoying some of the tidbits of the movie. Some of the jokes I found were personally embarrassing, but some of the other jokes were done pretty well. In addition, SpongeBob Out of Water is the last film here that is partly 2D animated, so there's a nice benefit to that. The ending with the dolphin and seagull rap was pretty funny, albeit a little corny as well. But will that rap save the group from rating it poorly? So what do you guys think about the second movie?
Well, I thought, it was kind of mid, to be honest. Like, the first movie, that was peak fiction. The third movie, now it has some stuff that I like about it. Like, I liked the 2D animation at first. I liked the, little Plankton, little SpongeBob collab. But, it was okay. I watched it in the theater when it came out. I remember that. And, it just didn't live up to the first movie. But I would say it's still a fine movie, so I'll give it 3 stars.
As for me, I liked Sponge Out of Water for its fun, wacky adventure, but in plot-wise, it wasn't very consistent. It would jump around, and sometimes you would ask, "What's happening? What is happening?" And that just kind of made me snore a little when rewatching it. It feels like one of those movies you just rewatch at your home every now and then you never see it again for 10 years. And then it resurfaces. It's like, oh, it's this movie again. And you watch it, and then you realize how mid it is. If I were to rate this movie, I'd give it maybe a 3 out of 5 as well. But if I could include Desmos, I'd give it 2.7.
Yes. You can include, I would say you can include halves, not 0.7s. I would say 0.5 at most.
Then it's a 2.5. It's a 2.5 Eva.
Okay.
Fair enough. For me, I have to give this honestly a 4 out of 5. Now, let me explain why. Because this movie was just nostalgia. So I would probably rate it even lower, to be honest. But for the pure growing up, like I just liked the movie, and honestly rewatching it, it's kind of headache inducing because like Fudge said, you don't know what's going on at all. I do like the 2D animated segments, but then it starts getting out of control and it feels like the writers just randomly, forget what they're talking about, but it's still a fun movie. Oh my god, I can't remember celebrity names, but I think his name was Anthony, but I liked his voice acting. Of course we know that's Poos, but he was pretty funny, but he didn't make sense as a pirate either, but it was a fun movie, so I'd say 4 out of 5 for me.
Actually, his name is Antonio.
Antonio,
man. Dino.
You erased his Spanishness.
I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. You know what? That guy, his name... Okay, can you please whitewash his last name? Banderas.
Banderas?
Yeah.
Bernard.
Anthony Bernard.
Brad.
Anthony Brad. I think that's a great name, actually. Shout out to Anthony Brad. That's amazing.
Do we have any more things to say about the movie?
Why was Sandy a real squirrel, but everybody else they still looked animated? Like she was a realistic squirrel. Why couldn't we make her also a similar art style to everybody else?
Theory-wise, I think Sandy was probably a prototype used to test the animation at the time, maybe because how realistic. But otherwise, it's probably a lazy decision.
I think the animators were just lazy with that one.
But it might cost more, so I don't know. Maybe it's just to actually test things. That's what I believe.
Or maybe it's just because since she is a real squirrel, like when she comes out the water, she just looks like a real squirrel, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know.
That would be an in canon answer. Your answer would be a animation in real life answer, if you know what I mean.
It's like the outside. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes, it took a little minute to process. I understand.
Yeah,
I'm very slow. I'm sorry.
No.
My brain's made out of chocolate. I can't process things as quickly.
I love that.
All right, I guess.
Nom, nom, nom.
I guess that's all we have for this one.
Well, it got pretty average ratings, which I think is perfectly appropriate. Nickelodeon had entered their descent with the series at the time, but it wasn't entirely noticeable yet. I do believe that the movie is enjoyable, but still will never be its bigger brother with all of its flaws. Sorry, SpongeBob Out of Water. This is fate. But will it be better than the next movie? Let's find out.
The third SpongeBob film adaptation came out between August 14th, 2020 and March 4th, 2021 in various countries. It has a runtime of 91 minutes. This was also during the 13th season of SpongeBob. It's titled The SpongeBob Movie Sponge on the Run. Where's bro running to? Good question. Its theatrical release was delayed to 2021 in the US because of the COVID-19 pandemic, causing it to get on Netflix and be released in other countries before coming to the States in March of 2021. It was a box office flop, grossing $4.8 million while having a budget of $60 million. Yikes. And fans of the series didn't like it too much either. This is the first film on the list that I haven't watched before, since I always watch the OG on TV reruns, and I actually did watch the second one in theaters. But by the time this one came out, I was kind of too old for SpongeBob, and I didn't feel like watching a new one after I saw the dumpster fire of modern day SpongeBob. But let's get into the plot. So Plankton is once again trying to think of a way to steal the Krabby Patty formula, since he always fails every other time. He's pondering about why he can never get the formula, and Karen tells him that SpongeBob is the one blocking him from retrieving it, not Mr. Krabs. Then we're introduced to another king, not King Neptune, but King Poseidon, who is also very vain and self-conscious about his appearance. He uses snail slime for his skincare routine, I guess it's anti-aging, but all of his snails run out of slime, so he needs a new one. Oh yeah, and when he's done with the snails, he enslaves them and puts them in a sweatshop. Wow, I'm already loving this movie. So Plankton has the bright idea to kidnap Gary and send him to Atlantic City to give him to the king, so SpongeBob can go and find him, and then he can sneak in and steal the Krabby Patty formula. After kidnapping Gary, SpongeBob and Patrick notice and he gives Sponge and Pat a robot that Sandy made named Otto. Or Odo. I think it's Odo. And Odo drives them to Atlantic City to save Gary. Oh yeah, and Odo is played by Aquafina. You know, we're gonna need a celebrity cameo counter for this movie because it's just way too many. So he and Patrick go off, leaving no one to cook Krabby Patties, and this causes the citizens of the Bikini Bottom to go through withdrawal and crash out. Wow, just like the last movie too. Odo drives SpongeBob and Patrick to some old western place, and they meet a tumbleweed guy named Sage, who is Keanu Reeves. Well, obviously. He tells the guys that they're dreaming, and they have to complete a challenge to continue looking for Gary. Then he gives them a challenge coin that will give them bravery. They go into an old tavern with old western zombie ghosts, and they have a dance number for some reason, and Snoop Dogg is the person who's performing the song. SpongeBob and Patrick release the souls from the evil spirit who's controlling them, that soul being El Diablo, who is Danny Trejo. And Odo wakes them up from their dream. Sage is also with them now, and he tells them that when Gary's slime runs out, the king will enslave him in the Snell sweatshop. So they pull up to Atlantic City, and Sage tells them not to get distracted by the gambling and games, but they do anyway and lose their challenge coin. Wait. So let me get this straight. They're actually in Atlantic City? Like on the boardwalk and in the casino and stuff? So SpongeBob and Patrick are running to New Jersey? You know what? Yeah. Maybe he'll meet Tony Soprano while he's at it. Both of them came out in 1999, so maybe they'll be locked in like Isabel and the Doom guy. If you know, you know. They pull up to Poseidon's palace and they attempt to take Gary, but they get arrested and thrown in jail, and they set up a trial for their execution. Also, Tiffany Haddish is like the host of the execution, and it's basically just her without a script, but acting like a fish. Wow, great. In the Bikini Bottom, Krabs willingly gives Plankton the formula since he's so desperate that SpongeBob is gone and has no one to cook their Krabby Patties. But Plankton isn't too happy about his achievements since he didn't work for it, I guess. The gang finds out that SpongeBob and Patrick got arrested in Atlantic City and will be executed, so Mr. Krabs, Squidward, Sandy, and Plankton go to save them. Before they're about to die, the gangy pulls up, and in an attempt to stop Poseidon from executing them, they all talk about how much of a good person SpongeBob is, and reminisce over their good times together when they met in summer camp? Okay, guys. This is really the part that makes me mad. So every 5 minutes, a character has a flashback to summer camp, which is just a shameless advertisement for the stupid 2021 baby SpongeBob spinoff, Camp Coral. So each character literally has a flashback scene with SpongeBob, like every few minutes. Why was this needed? I don't know. But honestly, that's a video for another day. The gang starts singing a song to distract King Poseidon, and they take Gary. Poseidon notices and sends his guards. They get cornered, but Poseidon says he'll let them all go if they just leave Gary. SpongeBob refuses and says that Poseidon is so vain because he doesn't have any friends. Then Poseidon is sad since he doesn't have any friends, so SpongeBob offers to be his friend and to embrace his body and stop trying to be that one guy that doesn't want to age. He agrees, takes off his clothes, he kind of looks ugly, he frees all the snails in SpongeBob's honor. All of the snails end off living in the Bikini Bottom, and we end off the film with a mediocre cover of Take On Me. Well, that movie was truly something, alright. The whole film basically is just an advertisement for Camp Coral, which I hate. If they were going to implement the show into the film, they could have did it in a cleaner way instead of just shoving the clips in a flashback scene like a bad Family Guy cutaway. Second, there were way too many celebrity cameos, and for no reason. I guess they were just trying to pack as much fan service as possible into the new film to get anyone to watch it, since they knew it would be Flop City. You know, I'm down for a little fan service every once in a while when it's done correctly. Like David Hasselhoff was random, but at least it made sense as to why he was there, because he was majestically running on the beach like he does in Baywatch. But why is Keanu Reeves a tumbleweed spirit thing? Like, that is really not needed. The plot was all over the place, and it was too much and not enough happening at the same time. They also copy a lot of plots and lines from the past movies, I guess for fan service. The songs were forgettable, and they kept playing bad covers of pop songs. They even had the gall to say, "in memory of Steven Hillenburg" at the end of the movie. Bro would have not wanted this if he was alive. He wanted SpongeBob to end with the first movie in the 3rd season. The only thing saving this movie was the animation. I'll give them that. It was a beautiful film. And Kelpie G playing My Heart Will Go On the clarinet. That was funny, okay? This is exactly why I rated it 1.5 stars on Letterboxd. But now let's see what the guys think. So guys, the 3rd SpongeBob movie. What did you think?
I'm just gonna say straight out, like, it was basically spitting on Mr. Hillenburg's grave. It was terrible. It had all this Camp Coral advertising in the middle of the movie. It was very disgusting. And also all these celebrities. It felt like a cash grab for both the celebrities and Nickelodeon. But it was at the time that SpongeBob as a series was really starting to lose traction. So I don't know if that's excusable, but I see why they were starting to do that. But movie-wise, I'd say definitely 1.5 out of 5.
As for me, I'd say this movie is not that great. It's not as fun to watch as Sponge Out of Water, or not very well put together as the first SpongeBob movie. You see like old references a lot in the movie to kind of retain the old audience, even though like it's a ghost town and the bar is empty. But it's a movie. That's what I would say. Not the worst movie I've watched. We'll get to that later. And honestly, it doesn't make sense why Plankton would help Mr. Krabs and stuff after trying to get the secret formula. It doesn't make sense. Why? Like, you won already. Take the thing. Why would you sell yourself out to Camp Coral? Why?
I mean, to be fair, the second movie kind of had some of that too. Except though, Plankton did go back to trying to take the formula like nothing happened.
That's fair. Well, I would rate this movie 2 out of 5. I think that's a fair score. A half point off from the second film.
Well, Plankton, he sold himself out because he didn't feel accomplished from getting the formula since Krabs just gave it to him, because he wanted to actually earn it himself. But then since he didn't earn it himself, he was like, oh man. And then he was like, okay, let's go save SpongeBob. So, I mean...
Why would he care about SpongeBob?
I don't know. He just found it inside of his heart. Well, I honestly don't know. Like, they just probably wanted Plankton to be there. But, I would also say this movie is a 1.5 because, it's just too much going on and not enough going on. It's like 5 different celebrity cameos for no reason. I don't really understand what's happening half the time, and the Camp Coral made me want to jump out the window. So, Nickelodeon, please never do this again, and also get rid of Camp Coral. Actually, I think I got canceled already, so don't worry about that.
We're gonna have to fact check. Yeah, we're gonna have to fact check that.
I'm pretty sure it got canceled.
No, yeah, I think by now, please. Oh yeah, it died a long time ago.
What year?
Died in 2021.
Yes, I'm smart.
2021.
See, I know.
Oh, wow, you smart.
Thank you.
There's actually one more thing I want to add to this movie. I think the animation's nice. I don't have complaint about, I was very worried how they were going to translate 3D into or the 2D likeness of SpongeBob into 3D animation, but that's like the only saving grace of this movie, really. There's really nothing else to say about that movie. It was kind of garbage.
Wait, I just wanted to say this one thing. Will SpongeBob meet Tony Soprano in Atlantic City in New Jersey?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I think he will.
Thank you so much.
I think Tony Soprano will sell some nice sugar.
I don't think he does this type of stuff he does.
But did you ever see the picture of SpongeBob that's in the Mafia?
I don't think I have.
Oh my goodness. I have to show you that later then.
Okay. This
film honestly made me lose a lot of brain cells, but the next movie can't be worse than this. Right?
We are nearly at the end of all the SpongeBob movie ever released, so before I give my thoughts about this movie, I would like to talk about how amazing and breathtaking this fourth film was. You know, Sandy Cheeks was one of my favorite childhood characters, and I would like to thank this movie for... Well, that was taken care of. I will discuss the movie. The fourth SpongeBob adaptation was released on August 2nd, 2024 across the globe. Surprisingly, this is the first SpongeBob film that was exclusively released on a streaming service. I wonder which one. The movie is titled Saving the Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie, and had a budget of $100 million. That's quite a lot of money. Let's see how this movie did. It grossed only $4 million. Never mind, let's just dive in right to the story. We start the adventures off with Sandy Cheek, plus her robotic cow for some reason, and oh my god, is she singing. The movie just started. Sandy goes around singing the song while the entire townspeople happily follow suit. I'd ask the entire town how they know the lyrics if they never sung this song before, but you know, it's probably just a general movie thing. She sings about Texas, and to be honest, they ain't no Texas. What state is that? We are introduced to our favorite Sponge, which, by the way, has many inconsistencies with his animation. I'll leave you to look for that in the meantime. Anyways, she finishes her happy introduction song. A crane swiftly enters the Bikini Bottom and starts lifting the city up to the surface. Squirrel Girl, I mean Cindy, I'm sorry, y'all, grabs the nearest kitchenware and hops on her cow, just barely avoiding being kidnapped. SpongeBob realizes that the entire town has been kidnapped by the weird excavator thing, and he starts crying like a baby. To solve this, Sandy does mathematics, which doesn't help, but I guess she leads to the conclusion that a water park corporation in Texas has taken the Bikini Bottom. So she decides, we're gonna save the Bikini Bottom! With the help of SpongeBob, of course. They make their way to the bubble columns when you place a Minecraft soul block, and from there, they are launched thousands of meters to the air, which doesn't make sense, but you know, we're rolling with it. After conveniently landing on a plane, SpongeBob instantly begins to suffocate due to the lack of water, which Sandy uses a lotion to fix him up. They never really used this lotion again, so I wonder if that lotion lasted like super long, or it's just an inconsistency. You also like to think of the speed of the plane or the oxygen deprivation would kill them, but you know, whatever. Sandy sees the world below her, which is a map the whole time, and she calculates her jump to Texas. She's kicking SpongeBob and quickly catching him because she's a flying squirrel. Yeah, squirrel power. Wait, couldn't she just hold on to him before kicking him? Meanwhile, we go to the science lab with Tsunami, aka Wanda Skykes, making an entrance. Oh, and yeah, also these dorks. She talks to the scientists about having everyone in the Bikini Bottom but SpongeBob and Sandy, which doesn't really tell us much. And the rest of the scene is just unnecessary filler. Yes, even you, Plankton. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Sandy land on the desert floor, and they plan to walk miles to the water park, before being halted by rattlesnakes. Sandy, in defense mode, instantly starts her karate action before being bitten. She decides she has no choice but to call her family up, which saves them. Sandy Mother swiftly sucks up the venom in Sandy's body, which is great in cartoon law, but not so much in real life. Oh, and speaking cartoon, did you catch the inconsistency? If not, that's okay. SpongeBob's eyebrows were absent from the first part of the movie, but then suddenly added here. Anyways, our heroes hop onto the family circus van, and they begin driving. Sandy is shown to have some embarrassment for her family, which they reveal to SpongeBob that Sandy is a spy of Bikini Bottom. You think SpongeBob would comment on this, be like, wait, that's not right, or Sandy, how could you do this? But he doesn't. Back to the science lab, Tsunami monologues about her evil plan to clone the SpongeBob cast into toys to sell them. Marketing, big corporation, woo! She has 3 phases of her plan, and she initiates phase 1, making Mr. Krabs' life work worthless. She then grabs Patrick, Mr. Krabs, and Squidward, of course, to initiate phase 2, which is to breathe in air. All but Patrick are terrified, and the plan works. Back to the van, and SpongeBob is being teached about that dial-up Sandy did. and Sandy's now appreciating her family after showing some embarrassment. A couple seconds later, and the family is being pursued by the cops, who are very angry about their nuts being stolen. Wow, those nuts had to be very valuable. Then, the worst-looking CGI tornado sucks up the van and the police cab, giving the time for the family to escape, which of course they do not because there was more police cabs following the family. Sandy's family makes the heartbreaking decision to save Sandy and SpongeBob by launching them straight out of a cannon. The duo lands into a water park, and they try to search for the laboratory. Before they can catch their breath, the evil pug starts chasing them. Sandy and the sponge are on the run as they enter the sewers to escape the dog, before being squeezed out of the faucet. Now I know what toothpaste feels like. The fudge? SpongeBob sees his friends in a glass dome and talks to them, before being kidnapped by Tsunami. Sandy has to sit through her boring monologue or something, I don't know, about not knowing what to be or something. I snoring through the movie, okay? And why is she an adult on a child's body? Like, they couldn't hire a child actor, or do they just want to squeeze in Wanda Skykes as much as possible? Anyways, she reveals her bad CGI robot body, and Sandy tries to fight, but that doesn't end well, really. She gets easily taken out. She talks about the two henchmen and why they would betray the good of science, which they reveal the betrayal was over a vending machine. Over a vending machine. Tsunami reveals to the Bikini Bottom that Sandy was a spy, which now SpongeBob pays attention to and gets super sad. SpongeBob skips phase 1 and 2 and heads straight to phase 3, which doesn't make sense and is duplicated to many pieces. Pfft, okay. SpongeBob creates a havoc around the lab and tells Sandy to never give up, leading her to convince the two henchmen and defeat Tsunami once and for all. She gets a late defeat and is happy to be a fish. Like, what the fudge am I even watching? SpongeBob needs to get to the Bikini Bottom and, because the dome is kind of cracking, and does the famous whistle since Sandy cannot do it. And the rest of the movie really doesn't make sense here. Just Sandy Cheek's family makes some weird device and they get launched and they're in the ocean, and then the movie goes with like them in the circus. I don't care. It doesn't make sense. My thoughts about this movie? It's the biggest piece of... And anyway, you get the point. The movie was terrible. The movie plot was like flat and static. It takes more half of the movie to figure out the villain's motives, which were very weak. The animation looks rushed, and unlike the previous movie, wasn't aesthetically pleasing. Plankton made an appearance, though very minor and minuscule. It's at the point that he didn't even need to appear at all. SpongeBob and Sandy I thought had great potential for a movie together because of their personality and friendship in, the past. But, things... That's how they are. Not everything's gonna be great. The songs out of nowhere is also just like not that catchy, if you could even call it a song. I wish I could say this movie is bad, but to be truthful, it isn't. It's terrible. It is the worst movie I have watched in my life so far, of course. But there's our positives, even in negatives. I love the little details where like they make some references to SpongeBob movies, or when SpongeBob is suffocating and without lotion. But that's pretty much it. Like, Nickelodeon you gotta do better, man. Specifically the higher ups. I rate the 4th installment of Cinema a 0 out of 5. But if I could have negative numbers involved, woo! It would be far down. Now that we are at the end of the movies, we have the final SpongeBob. Sorry, not a SpongeBob movie. The Sandy Cheeks movie called Sandy Cheeks Saving the Bikini Bottom. Final score. What do you guys rate it?
Well, that one, I don't even know what was happening. I thought the third movie was bad. But this 4th movie, I don't even know what was happening. The plot was crazy. They did my girl Wanda Sykes dirty. Like, why did she turn into a fish? Why is she doing this? Please release them from the shackles. Release Tom Kenny from the shackles. Release all of them from the shackles of SpongeBob, because why are we still doing this in the modern day? Why does Sandy have a horse robot? why is Sandy a secret spy for the random corporation, but then she didn't know she was a secret spy, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, Sandy. And then I don't understand what this plot is supposed to be. Why do you do this? Please release SpongeBob from the shackles of this franchise. I rate it half a star.
I'm gonna say 0 out of 5 for me. I actually did not. It was unbearable to watch. That dust devil that kept appearing like every, I'd say, 30 minutes honestly killed me. It was so bad animation. It was such a downgrade from the third one. I don't know how you get worse. I think the movie was released 2024, right?
Yes.
Yes, I believe that. That's the case.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know how you get worse animation quality. And honestly, it just felt like an actual cash grab. Like, I know I said the third one was a cash grab, but this really felt like a cash grab because the editing was lazy, the voice acting was crazy. It just didn't make any sense. Oh, well, not the voice acting, but you know, the lines. Also, how the movie even begins. Why does Sandy start singing? Why is that the first thing she does? And for like the longest time, we don't get explanation about what's going on or anything. It's just SpongeBob and Sandy going on an adventure because their friend got kidnapped because of what? It didn't make any sense. So 0 out of 5.
Anyways, what could I say about this movie? Sandy, what have they done to you? What have they done to all of you? This movie was among the worst movie I have seen in my life. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I seen random movies I do not know the name of, and they were much better than this Sandy Cheeks movie. It's like Sandy Cheeks movie was after like the third one, SpongeBob on the Run, and they were panicking because they lost a lot of revenue, so they're like, we need more money, and then they dropped this monstrosity. There was too many inconsistent animation. The story felt so boring that I almost fell asleep like twice while watching this film, and none of the characters feel true to themselves, other than SpongeBob maybe, because SpongeBob, actually no, you know what, none of them felt true. This movie was a horrible experience. I would not watch it again, and if I had to watch like Shrek for the rest of my life, I would take that. I would watch Shrek.
Well, at least Shrek is a good movie.
At least Shrek is a good movie. Yeah. Personally, I'd rate this 0 out of 5, but if I could go further down, it would be in the negatives. That's how bad this was. I think I lost brain cells when watching it.
Wow, me too, friend. Me too. Would someone like to sing the Sandy song for us?
Oh god. Wait, I gotta search it up. I forgot.
No, remember.
Who shall sing it?
Fudge will remember. Am I right? You remember? You were singing it. I remember.
Wait, what is it called?
I don't even know.
No, that was Dino, not me.
Wait, I thought it was you.
No, I would never sing that.
Well, maybe it was. Okay.
Hey ma, hey pa, your squirrel's done good.
Yay! Everyone say, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here.
No.
It killed me. I got goosebumps from the movie. I don't think it was good goosebumps though.
Yeah, so we could all agree we just toss it in a trash can and just lit it with matches, or get Tony Soprano or Walter White to like shoot the movie.
How about we get both of them actually, and Gangster SpongeBob?
Yeah, we get both of them. Honestly, if Hillenburg was alive, he would be so disappointed.
He's probably was already disappointed before his death.
They got bro rolling in his grave after this one.
I'm sure some people might have enjoyed this movie, which is great. It's entertainment after all. For me, it didn't meet my expectations. Now on to the... Wait. What is that? There's a fit. You gotta be kidding me. Now, the Plankton movie releasing was a little unexpected for all of us. But here we go. Plankton the movie. Now, this film was released on March 7th, 2025 on Netflix.
Obviously, since this was a pretty new film, I cannot really share any accurate details on box office revenue as it's subject to change. But for now, I can say at the time of writing the script, it has received $840,000, although its budget is not really known. I cannot really say much about the state of Nickelodeon itself. It was pretty much in the same state at the time the last movie was released. But will they redeem themselves from that awful Sandy movie? Let's dissect the plot. The film starts how you expect, with SpongeBob. Well, SpongeBob keeps singing about the Bikini Bottom until he is interrupted by Plankton. Of course, he is making another attempt to steal the Krabby Patty as normal, while his wife Karen is hanging out with Sandy, Mrs. Puff, and Pearl, and their group is called the Gal Pals. I don't think these characters really have any chemistry with each other, and isn't Pearl a little young compared to Sandy and Mrs. Puff? I digress. Anyway, Karen is getting fed up with all of Plankton's futile attempts as it's causing them relationship problems. Plankton ignores the signs and tries to steal the formula, but is yet again caught by Mr. Krabs. Karen grows tired of the antics, so she decides to actually make the Chum Bucket a good restaurant to eat in so that Plankton could stop complaining about having no customers. Turns out, Plankton hates the fact that it has no evil motive and decides to ruin all of Karen's work. Karen gets extremely frustrated like any person would be and decides to call quits on Plankton, and he kicks him out of the Chum Bucket, turning herself into multiple personalities. We got super snarky, super evil, and super smart Karen. These group of Karens are known as the Hydra Karens. Now, if you were to tell me that Karen would be extremely dangerous if she lost her mind, I would believe you. This is exactly what she does in the film, taking world domination into her own hands, now with funky animation. She starts ripping the entire Bikini Bottom from the ground, soon nothing to be left of it. SpongeBob happens to be nearby and gets caught within the feud. It wouldn't be a SpongeBob movie without SpongeBob. He hides with Plankton in a supermarket of some sorts. Extremely confused about Plankton and Karen mishaps, SpongeBob turns into a psychiatrist and tries to get to the bottom of Plankton's love life. After hypnotizing Plankton, SpongeBob figures out that Karen was originally a potato calculator thingy, and that they were going to head to college together. Before SpongeBob could learn more, Karen finds them, and at last the two decide to head to Plankton's old college, Bikini State University, to recover Karen's original parts instead of apologizing. From more psychiatry from SpongeBob, we learn that Karen gets her upgrades in the university. They had their ultimate goal of world domination and start developing feelings for each other. Oh, and Plankton also frees the guy. Poor man was stuck for 25 years. Back to the present day, Plankton finds Karen's old parts, but the potato that originally powered her was rotten. The two head to Plankton's basement to rebuild another Karen with the old parts. SpongeBob hypnotizes Plankton once again to learn that he and Plankton had one attempt at world domination. That was ruined by a little kid on a beach. After the failure, Plankton overhears Krabs over-exaggerate the secret formula being a world domination tool, and makes his entire life go about stealing the secret formula. Karen decides to put up with it, thinking it would not last more than 25 years. I'm so sorry, Karen. After psychiatry time, Plankton has evil tendencies, so he decides to chase SpongeBob with fire for really no good reason. That aside, Plankton believes they have a chance at fighting the Hydra Karens with the newly rebuilt Karen. Plankton's education went nowhere as he failed to realize that old parts used to build the Karen meant that all of them were just the original Karen. The two run away once more, but SpongeBob decides he had enough dealing with Plankton and deems he's a selfish jerk. The two split ways with Plankton quickly getting found by the Hydra Karens. He is set to be executed when he's suddenly saved by the Gal Pals and SpongeBob. Turns out SpongeBob still cared at the end, but the Gal Pals, not so much. They were more confused about what happened to their buddy Karen.
Move out of the way, Fudge takes the stage again. The Gal Pals take SpongeBob and Plankton to their super duper secret base, where they discuss how Karen went haywire, but not before they had their super cup of coffee or tea. I don't know which one was poured. It was never specified. SpongeBob is super caffeinated while Plankton tries to tell the Gal Pals how he loves Karen in a very fluid and sweet animation, but realizes he has lacked the empathy to apologize. Oh, and Karen doesn't really have her empathy chip. The Gal Pals shame Plankton for not having said empathy, which SpongeBob reveals he has the chip. This gives Sandy, the one with the bad movie, an idea. She brutally smushes the chip to the Plankton Oh my god, sorry, I can't even speak. Into the brain of Plankton. And this makes him all lovey-dovey. Wow, talk about Order 66. I'm sorry, that has no relevance here. A Winged-style plan is hatched for Plankton to apologize to Karen. The squad seeks out the huge mecha that Karen is in, and they infiltrate it successfully. They enter cautiously, with Sandy claiming there could be booby traps. Meanwhile, the Karens are super angry and split into their counterparts to deal with the problem. SpongeBob enters the Krusty Krab, worries about blood, and finds Patrick. Seems simple to follow. Well, regardless, Patrick has now gained protagonist status. Patrick and SpongeBob head up in the elevator, with complications, of course, while the Gal Pals fend off the Karen variants from the multiverse. That's the wrong line. They successfully defeat them, but Sandy Gut was right about the trap, as the Gal Pals were trapdoored down to the ground. Looks like they lost their protagonist status. Oh, and with Plankton following Patrick and SpongeBob, of course. SpongeBob and Plankton, and of course Patrick, split up, with Plankton deciding to search for Karen, while SpongeBob and Patrick deal with shutting down the machine. SpongeBob sees all the potatoes and worries how he will stop them, but he finds his mighty spatula and knows what to do. I think about the meme, Mr. Krabs, I have an idea! Back to Plankton, he tries to tell Karen he loves her, but he has negative 5,000 Riz. Karen gives him the secret formula, expecting him to just take it, but Plankton pulls the common, the secret formula was you trope, and they get back together. Wow, it's almost like the story is a sucker for a love story. Plankton betrays the group, assisting Karen in world domination, but realizes the machine wasn't SpongeBob proof. SpongeBob fed Patrick all those potatoes, and I don't really want to know what some of those Nickelodeon artists are doing outside of the job. And he saves the day once more, giving the happy ending to everyone. Even if Plankton didn't get world domination, he got his artificial love. I'd say this movie has a better plot and consistency than the last two. The story was quite easy to follow and all, but the animation doesn't do it for me. It's among one of the worst I have seen from the series. Except for the backstory animation, which was super good for some reason. Plankton in this movie confuses me, because he's still about, making better food, but he refuted Karen's recipe, which disrupted the SpongeBob TV canon. Ah well, the story is rebooted multiple times, I'm almost as confused to see Karen be friends with Sandy, Mrs. Puff, and Pearl. Pearl is a teenager. Why would she be hanging out with these people? Mrs. Puff doesn't even interact with any of these characters much, and Sandy is an ally for SpongeBob. This movie wasn't horrible though. I didn't fall asleep, so that's a good side. Plus the multiple references, although a cheap move for Nickelodeon, was pretty nice to see again. The movie was quite intriguing with SpongeBob therapy or whatever you call it that. There's many interesting scenes to cover. I rate this a 2 out of 5. Not the best, but watchable.
So what do you guys think about, the Plankton movie now that it's just come out?
Well, of course we didn't know that the Plankton movie even existed before, we didn't know it was going to come out on March 7th, so that's very surprising. But I was very surprised to find out that it was better than the last two movies we just watched. I know on Sandy movie we were like, I hope this doesn't get worse than this. And it surprisingly did not get worse than this. So can we give that a round of applause though?
I have to give that a round of applause because I expected this movie to be a lot worse.
I did too. But okay, I really like the not the main animation, but the secondary animation, because the main animation, it was very questionable, but then it did other types of animation with Plankton's flashback scenes and with Karen turning into a transformer or something, I don't know. And I thought that was really good, and the plot, it made more sense than the other two movies, at least I kind of understood what was happening, although it was a bit stupid still. Some parts were questionable, like the Gal Pals. That's very questionable. Why are they friends? They wouldn't be friends in SpongeBob. So now they're just all friends because they're girls? Questionable, okay? But, I'm a sucker for a love story too. So, this movie, it's honestly okay. It's okay, a little bit less than okay, But I'm just happy that's better than the last two movies. So I rated it 2 stars.
Yeah, 2 stars sounds fair for such movie.
Okay, so this is my opinion of Plankton, the movie. So, the plot was definitely much more easier to follow than the last two movies, because, like, with the Sponge on the Run is like, why does King Poseidon want the snail to begin with? And what's the point of it, I guess? And then Sandy, we know how that went.
It did not went so good.
I would say the animation is still bad compared to, like, maybe I would rank it above Sandy Cheeks because it was more easier to read and it didn't look weirdly, I guess, out of place. But the secondary animation, just like you said, is awesome. Like, why don't they do that for more movies? It tells me the Nickelodeon team has it in them. It's just they're not being pushed, or I guess they're not doing any of those. You get the point. You guys get the point, right?
Yes.
What was interesting about the movie's take was, I guess, Plankton and Karen's relationship. We only get to see brief interactions in the actual show, so it's kind of nice to see that. But it felt kind of weird and off place, especially Plankton being all lovey-dovey at the end. Like, that doesn't feel like his character.
But there's a reason for that. There's a reason, because that's not like his character, because they gave him the empathy chip, so that's the reason why he's a lovey-dovey now. Now, if he didn't have the empathy chip, then oh, it's because it burnt out. But it's because he realized that he loved Karen again. He realized that their love came back.
Because so your justification is I'm a sucker for a love story.
Yes, I really am a sucker for a love story too. So yes.
Okay. So this movie wasn't bad. I think someone could watch it. There's a lot of good references as well, with like Plankton's little dog at the beginning. And the plot is more, again, like readable. You could actually believe this one more than the others. It's not random. And surprisingly, there's not much celebrity cameos. If not, there wasn't any at all. Probably because they don't have money to afford it anymore.
That's true.
If I were to rate this movie, it'd be like, I'd still give it like a low score, like 2 out of 10. But it ranks higher than the Sandy Cheeks movie, and it's just the same amount as Sponge on the Run for me.
I think the movie, I kind of liked it, kinda, but I'm not a big fan. Definitely a lot of issues. Better than the last two movie for me though. But I really despise the animation as well. I'm just going to start out with that because it looked like I was watching that one Baby Bottle Pop commercial from 2010, like the whole time it was in 3D animation. I'm gonna have to show a clip in it, but that's how it felt like. I did not like it. It just looked very choppy and weird. But the what's called secondary animation was again, like Eva and Fudge is saying it, like just clean. I don't understand. So they could have done that, but it's whatever. And then plot wise, I think I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the other two as well. I find it very interesting that they took an approach of Karen, what's called a love story between Karen and Plankton. But I found some of the character interactions unnatural with like SpongeBob and you know, like you said, the gal pals. Like, why are they friends with, not friends, but I know, I guess I could say friends here, but why are they friends and talking with like, what's her name again? Pearl, yeah, and she's like a teenager. It's very weird. This was very, what's called weird arrangement of character lineups. And also, I noticed just someone like Squidward didn't really appear in the movie that much, which I guess is fine in this case, but I kind of wish I saw more interactions from there. But I think I like somewhat of the resolution, and but the in between is very weird. I would say my final rating is probably gonna be around let's say 2. I'll say a 2 as well. I don't think it's bad. It's definitely more watchable. I don't like some of the jokes in there either, but
Well, yeah, it's watchable, and I think it's deserving of a higher rating of the last movie. That one was a disaster, a big disaster.
Absolutely.
Actually, I would like to add on something. So, to add on, y'all, when we talk about the secret formula, what was it all for? That was always what confused me when watching this Plankton movie. What was that all? Like, to take over the world, yes, but how? How is the Krabby Patty evil? I thought you wanted to be evil. At least the plot demands, you know.
And how did Karen put up with that for 25 years? That's another
well,
thing.
Karen is Karen. Karen could do whatever the plot conceives, but for Plankton's motive, it just doesn't align.
Right, and it messes up the canon of the show, because in the show they say, I guess, Mr. Krabs and Plankton were best friends, and they made the formula together, but then Krabs, like, took over, and then Plankton, was trying to, like, steal it back from him or something, because he was successful. I don't know. But, yeah, that messes up the canon. It's weird. Like, I don't get how... I think he wants to be evil because he wants to take over the world by stealing the formula instead of having an actual good product that he wants to sell. But I thought Plankton wants to sell a good product. That's why he's trying to steal the formula.
Yeah, that's like the motive. And when, like,
right,
Karen makes the chum good, like, why are you stopping her? She's making your food better. And he's like, no, because I want to be evil. That doesn't follow most of the SpongeBob plots or movies.
Yeah.
Like, none of the TV episodes or obviously all the first, second, third, and fourth adaptation had it like that. He always wanted to just improve his restaurant.
Yeah, the deviation, I'd say, was definitely, like, the deviation from canon was definitely very stronger in this movie. It's like a lot of things did not align with how, you know, the actual character would act like, so yeah. But you know what? I'm a sucker for a love story too. I have to say that.
I'm a sucker for a love story too. Sucker for a love story too.
Are you a sucker for a love story, Fudge?
No.
Oh,
No.
man.
I'm not a sucker for a love story.
I am.
I am. I always am. Well, that pretty much sums up all of the SpongeBob movies so far. In first place, we have the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. In second place, there's Sponge Out of Water. Third place, the Plankton movie. In fourth place, there's Sponge on a Run. And in last place, the Sandy movie. Honestly, I thought these films would have gotten progressively worse over time, which they kind of did until the Plankton movie surprised us all, with the film being less bad than the last two. Another SpongeBob film is going to come out in May, so will this possibly be better than the last? I sure do hope so. But thank you guys for watching the video, especially since it's a lot longer than usual. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and comment your favorite SpongeBob movie. I also hope you guys enjoyed my guests on the channel. That will definitely be back for more videos. And I hope to see you, my dear viewer, in the next video.